I have just a little preemptive announcement that I usually make for these remote calls. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, MGL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the North Andover Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with the right and or requirement to attend this meeting shall be found at the town's website at www.northandoverma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so on their televisions by tuning to Comcast Channel 8 or Verizon Channel 26, or online at www.northandovercam.org, so North Andover Cam website. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time. For public hearings, which we have one this evening, any member of the public who would like to participate in the public hearing should email Amy Maxner before or during the hearing at amaxner@northandoverma.gov. The question or comment will be read during the proceedings and responded to accordingly. So Lou, you can call the meeting to order. We can do the minutes, and then I just want to do another quick little blurb about electronic signatures and such.
Okay. First of all, we have the whole board is there, right? Deb, the whole board is there?
Yeah, we have, actually, yeah, you should take a roll call. I'm sorry. Take a roll call.
Yeah. So tonight we'll have Jack comment first, followed by Joe, followed by Al, followed by myself. Next will be Deb, Sean, and then Doug.
Okay. And so we have Lou, the chair, is present.
Yes.
Al, the vice chair, is present.
Yes, present.
Jack Mabin's with us.
Present.
Sean McDonough.
Here.
Deb Veltovic.
Present.
Let's see. Okay. Is that everybody for the?
No.
I'm sorry,
Joe Lynch.
Joe Lynch. Yes.
Here.
Okay.
And Doug's
great.
Doug's all.
And Doug is not with us this evening. No, he is not present. Right.
Okay.
And then others that are present, if you could just go through and identify yourselves.
All right. Start with Jack.
Jack Sullivan.
Yep, Jack Sullivan's on the line, civil engineer.
Okay.
Then Joe.
Anyone else?
Jimmy D'Angelo.
Here.
And Jim D'Angelo.
Okay, Jimmy.
And Michael Smolak.
Okay, Michael, thank you.
Brian Howard, North Andover Historical Society.
Okay.
Jeff Ketteritz from VHB and Laura Leitch from VHB is on as well.
Great. Thank you.
And my name's Derek. My name's Derek Skillings, the geothermal driller.
Oh, great. Okay.
I know we have the. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I know we have an agenda, but VHP is that for Merrimack College?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Well, I hate to have them sit there for the whole hearing for an extension, so I'd like to hear them first, so we can take a little out of order, so they have to spend the night there.
Okay.
If
If that's
that's
okay with
okay.
everybody?
Yep. Okay.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, great.
I can
All right.
give you a presentation, Amy.
Okay. Just pulling up my notes here. Okay, so Commission received a request for a one-year extension to the order of conditions, DEP file number 2421702, issued to Merrimack College in May of 2017. This order governs the construction of a synthetic turf field and running track, spectator bleachers, a new field house and club event area, walkway, and emergency vehicle improvements, and associated hardscaping and landscaping. Believe it was in sometime in 2018 that all of the work was completed. And there's one area in the buffer zone that needs final stabilization. And the college would like to keep the order open so that loaming and seeding that area can proceed this spring. And then that will be the end of it. That's all that's left.
Jack, any questions?
No questions at this point.
Joe?
The only question that I would have that, it's been open for a while. We received monitoring reports up to a period of time. But can we be assured it will be completed in 1 year?
So I looked back in the file, and Jen Hughes had met on site with the third-party monitor, Greg Hockmith, and I believe representative from the planning board, and I believe representatives of the project in I forget what the date was, but they met, I think it was maybe last fall.
Yeah, it was November of 2018 is my recollection. Okay. It had been reviewed and the site was stabilized. Essentially, the portion that's left open is there was a request for an insignificant change submitted to the planning board in 2018 for a portion of the existing baseball field to be utilized as a temporary gravel lot. So we're submitting the extension request because we haven't that hasn't been restored to the permitted conditions yet at the moment. So we'd like to extend it for the year and be able to do so, and then restore to the existing conditions.
Okay. Joe, any more questions?
No, I'm okay. Just given all the activity over there, just want to make sure it remains a high priority to close us out.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Al?
No questions.
Deb?
No questions.
Sean?
No questions.
A motion, please.
This is Joe. I move that we grant a 1 year extension for the completion of the order of conditions.
Second by Deb.
Second by Deb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff and Laura.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Good night.
Could we go
Okay,
back
now-
and approve the minutes for April 8th?
So let's start from top.
Okay. So, are you guys waiting for me to say something?
Yes, you got to propose that. Top of the agenda is 800 Mass Ave, right?
Yeah,
And we were
Um,
in minutes, weren't we?
yeah. The April 8th minutes, do you want to do that? I sent those to
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
It's
Did
okay.
Deb read the minutes?
I did.
Okay,
both
motion
did.
to accept the minutes.
I
Motion,
so moved.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's, I'm sorry, and that's, okay, and that's unanimous. I forgot about the minutes, Amy, sorry.
No worries.
Okay, now we can do 800 Mass Ave.
Okay. 800 Mass Ave. Okay, so we have the project team on the line with us. The commission received a revised plan this afternoon that has some more protections for the 25-foot no disturb zone in the form of a stone wall at the limit of the 25. There is a proposed planting strip at the edge of wetland with the average width of about 14 or 15 feet. And a proposal to mow in between the wall and the mitigation area twice a year. The drilling area has received 2 settling basins to capture water and slurry, and the 2 sealed dumpsters are now in the front, both on the grass area in the front of the property. Those are the major changes. And
All right.
I guess you
All
guys
right,
can,
let's address the wetlands factor first, and then we'll talk about the drilling and the slurry and the containers after that, because the wetland stuff requires a waiver, I believe.
yes.
Okay. So, Jack, did you heard Amy? Do you want to hear from the applicant, or you want to know what you want to have any questions?
I have a question for Amy. Did you get a list of the plantings that they propose for the restoration area?
Yep,
Are
we
you
do.
happy?
We have that. Yeah, we have it on the plan. They're calling for 15 shrubs altogether. It's split up between 3 different species of sweet pepper bush, low bush blueberry, and meadow sweet.
Are those acceptable to you?
I think so, yep.
Yep. Okay, I have no questions. No other questions.
Okay. Joe, we'll just, like I said, we'll just address the waiver and the patio and all that, the wall, and then we'll go back to the slurry and the water in the wells.
Lou, are you going to me? You going to Joe?
Joe, I'm sorry, yep.
Okay. I'm getting some feedback. I'm gonna put my headphones on. Give me a second here, please.
Okay, great.
You guys there?
Yeah.
Everybody's still here.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was on speakerphone. The headphones
No,
are much better.
That's much better.
Okay. So yeah, I took exception to the proposal at the last meeting, and what I'm seeing now is a much better balance is what we were looking at last time, a couple of weeks ago. I think use of that area is something that's always happened. The patio is not necessarily a bad extension of that. Now that with a physical barrier between that and the rest of the resource area and getting some restoration, I think really balances out what we'd be looking to typically achieve. So I'm okay with that. The mowing between the wall and the area shown in green on the latest plan, that's intended to be mown, but infrequently, right? A couple times a year?
Correct.
Correct.
Correct. And then the area in the green is to simply become the no disturb zone.
Correct.
Correct? Okay, so
Correct. Jack Sullivan, correct. Yep.
so together, short of a patio being put in a previously improved area, what we're really doing is getting some buffer zone enhancements, a physical separation, and overall a net improvement, even though we're getting a higher intensive use. So I'm okay with that if that's what I'm seeing.
Okay. Al, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Just for the record, I did have a conversation with Mr. Sullivan earlier today, and I expressed my opinion on things that I thought would help. And so as of right now, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Jack, I just have a couple of questions. You've known me for a long time. The question that I have is the excavation work for the patio. I'm sure you must have been about a foot deep for subgrade.
Correct.
All right. So
There'd be no soil stockpile. They'd excavate it out, remove it out, come in with the good base material that's a permeable material, and then put the pavers on top.
Okay.
With a bobcat, something small.
Well, my question is how are you going to access the area that you want to put the patio?
Well, the wall would go in last, right? So that's why we left 10 feet from the edge of the building to where the planting area will go. The 10 feet also serves in the case there was ever some sort of emergency, at least you could get behind the building. Since the existing buildings within 25 feet were already at a disadvantage to the wetlands, we wanted to leave some sort of emergency access back there. So the idea would be the patio would get built first. The erosion control would go in, the patio would get built, then they'd come in and do the wall and get the plantings established at the end.
All right. So the construction access to digging the patio is going to be at that narrow strip between the building and the wetlands. Is
Correct.
that how you're going to go in yet? Okay.
Yep. If you look at my plan, I show the proposed access, and
Okay.
they'll come off the pavement there, and I have erosion control set up so we won't impact the wetlands, and that's where they'll access from the left side of the building around the back.
Yeah, I'm just, well, my suggestion, only because of the disturbance, it's going to, because I mean, you know what, I don't have to tell you, it's real wet in that whole site. I would if it gets approved, I would wait till the driest part of the season, you know, which is probably what, June or July.
Right. So if we don't have if we don't have an order drafted up tonight, which I doubt we do, then we'd be waiting anyways, and then there'd be an appeal period, and by the time they get going, it would be end of June or July, or when they have to raise funds even to build it. So we don't have a problem if it was a condition during the try time.
Because because I will insist that we do that excavation work at the dry part of the season. You got the other side to work anyways. You got the wall and the stumps, and because I went out there after the last meeting and did a site review, and and I saw you cut the trees, and you gotta cut back the hill so you can put a wall up, so you can extend the parking lot. You said you were going to extend the parking lot. So and that's out of the buffer anyway. I wasn't pleased with. We probably would have allowed it anyway, but you cut all that invasive species around the back. That was in the buffer zone. Correct?
I don't think so.
I don't have any info on that.
Yeah, I went by in the back there, and like where the building jets back into the back side of the house of the property. It looked like somebody went around the building with a weed whacker or something, and I didn't go around the other side because, like I said, I can't walk too good, so I didn't go up where you were putting the patio, but you can see that somebody's been doing some clearing out there, which we can't have without notifying at least the office of what your plans are.
Okay.
That was the only issue I had, but I'll defer to the rest of the board to see about the waiver. Deb?
How long is it going to take to build the patio from start to finish?
How long will it take to build it?
Yeah. Like, is it going to take, you know, like a couple of days or a week or what?
Yeah, I would say a week at most. It's not a big patio. It's only 550 square feet. I can't see that taking more than a week once they get a contractor selected to build the patio itself. The other work, the wall work, the plantings is on its own, but the patio, a week.
Okay, thank you.
Sean?
Well, I appreciate the revisions that have taken place since the last meeting as far as, you know, putting a barrier up at the 25-foot. I'm always extremely reluctant to give waivers, and very, very infrequently do, but this is a property that's already within the 50 and corners of it within the 25. It's already being mowed up into beyond what's shown on the plan. So I do appreciate the revisions that have been made and the attempts to try to appreciate our position on why we do try to maintain that 25 for all the applicants without exception. But a couple questions I do have is, look, how come there's like a little bump? You know, it seems like the part that's being revegetated, there's a little hump where it goes back in towards the wetland. Is there something that, on the ground there that's accounting for why that's going in instead of just kind of going straight across? If you look at the plan, I don't know if you're following what I'm trying to.
Yep, I'm following what you're saying. Jack Sullivan again. So the idea there is when they sit on the patio, if you remember at the last meeting, they wanted to really take in the view, and they thought with that bump in where people were sitting, it would give them more of a view corridor out to the surrounding land. So that's why it doesn't go straight. It gives it in that area. That's where they feel they're going to look through to see what they want to see.
Yeah. And is everybody all right with putting, you know, posts and signs right along where it's being the line where it's being revegetated? Or what are folks' thoughts on whether it should be up at, if we do have signage, whether it should be up at the 25? I guess it should be up at the 25.
Yeah, I'm showing 4 pressure-treated posts to be set. There's some dark circles, if you have the drawing in front of you, where the proposed wall is. There's 4 pressure-treated posts that will have the North Andover Concom emblems attached to them along the 25.
Great. And mowing will be limited to twice a year. Is that what I heard?
That's what we're proposing.
Yep. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks, Sean. All right, so let's get the waiver out of the way, if that's what we want to do. I need a motion for the waiver.
Al Manzi, I'll move the waiver.
Jeff Beltrovic, second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And that's unanimous. Okay. Now for the next step will be the walls. And Jack Sullivan, if you could explain a little bit more on the walls and how the stuff is going to be stockpiled, that'd be great.
Yep. Lou, can I just ask you one question? I'll talk on the wells, but do we want to talk about the other couple minor items within the 100-foot buffer to see if everyone's good with that, and then we can jump to the wells, or you want to start with the wells?
Well, we could do that. Yep, that's short. As long as I just wanted to get the waiver out of the way because I wasn't sure how it was going to go. So it would have made all that other stuff a moot. So, yeah, we can discuss the what do you want, the vegetation? Or?
No, we show a 6-inch drain replacement that's within the 100 feet. I don't think anyone had a problem with that, but we show 2 small saplings, a 2-inch and a 4-inch, to be removed at the rear of the building outside the 25. And then we show the 5x5 concrete platform and concrete walkway and some expansion of the pavement area within the 100 in a construction of a landscape retaining wall. No waivers, and I don't think we had concerns with that before, but those are the other items within the 100 feet that that should be discussed if there's any questions.
Okay. Jack, do you have any questions on that?
I do not.
All right. Joe?
I have no questions.
Okay. Al?
No questions, sir.
Deb?
No questions.
Sean?
No questions.
All right. So we don't need to vote because we're a condition, everything, all that stuff anyways, correct? Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now we can go to the wall stuff.
Okay.
So now you.
So with the wells, you know, at the last meeting, we moved everything outside the 100, but there were some questions on how, you know, we were going to deal with the slurry and tailings and water and how they'd be trucked off site. And we obviously didn't want water going out into Mass Ave or worst case coming back towards the wetland area. So we improved the plan, and we have Derek Skillings on with us tonight, who is the well driller for the project. But basically, what Derek explained to us is when he goes to drill these wells, they dig detention areas like test pits outside of the drilling area that are surrounded by hay bales, and they'll connect the test. There'll be like 3 pits dug. They're interconnected, and as the tailings and slurry comes out, they go into the pit area, and then any excess water as it moves through the pits will ultimately be pumped to those storage, the dumpsters that we talked about before that are situated in the grass area out front. And then anything that's all the soil and tailings that are into those pit areas are allowed to sit, and water is able to move through and infiltrate back into the ground, so that material is actually able to dry out before it's excavated and removed from the site.
Okay.
Derek, did I cover that pretty well? If you want to add anything to that, or did I cover that pretty well?
I think that was great. Yep. Well, there's really nothing else I can think of adding right now.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Jack, any questions?
I have no questions.
Joe?
Hi, Derek. This is Joe Lynch. So the concern that I had was the 6-inch diameter wells driven to the depth that we thought they were going to go, resulting in just a certain amount of volume of slurry coming up and handling both the solids and the water. So I think your explanation for discharging to these pits and then pumping the fluids off to the dumpsters makes sense. But there also needs to be a separate management activity for the solids that come up. And, you know, given the 6 wells, 6-inch diameter at that depth, I don't have the calculation in front of me tonight, but I did a couple of weeks ago. It's a pretty sizable volume of solids once they're decanted. So my question is really, and again, I recognize it's outside the 100-foot buffer zone, but I want to make sure we don't have any vulnerability, given the flatness of this area, that any of this material finds its way into the drain system and into the adjacent wetland. So once you pull the material up, put it in these areas, pump the fluids away, where are the solids going to go? I mean, you need to maintain that on a hole-by-hole basis, don't you?
Yeah, you do. So we're going to have a small excavator there on site right next to these containment pits. So the water gets pumped out and into the dumpsters out front. But then, the material starts to just build up. So we dig them out and then we stockpile it right next to it. And it's the larger chips of rock that don't get pumped over to the dumpsters, because all the lighter stuff, the smaller particles, will get pumped away. So the stuff that's stockpiled next to the pit is it drains very quickly, and it doesn't really run off at all because it's stone dust. It doesn't, water can perk through that so easily. So you really won't need to be worrying about any of that flowing towards the wetlands at all.
So given the confined nature, topographic confinement of the corner of this building, the outlet is only to that corner. which I'm trying to get a bearing. I guess it's the northerly corner. And what we have there for erosion controls is 12-inch diameter staked mulch sock. So given the volume and only the one outlet, there's a concern that once we get within the jurisdiction, that erosion control is adequate. I'm almost wondering if you have a multiple row of silt socks diagonally within the 100-foot in order to act as like a pre-filter, a secondary filter, and then lastly a filter before it hits the wetland itself. Because I think the volume of material you're going to be handling could be overwhelmed.
Well, I mean, the holes aren't drilled yet, so we can't say that it's going to be an amount of water that won't be, within a manageable amount. I mean, most likely it will be, but we're not going to pump over that. If I'm looking at the map right, I don't think, there wouldn't be any pumping of water over in that area anyways, because it goes uphill, right, from elevation 102 and up to 110.
No, I'm actually looking at the elevation between 101 and 102, or in the corner of the building, where all of that, in the event of an overwhelming circumstance, all that material would want to move down through that corner and only be defended just before the wetland at the one filter tube. And I'm thinking that's where your vulnerability exists. And I think the juggling act between, it depends on how fast you drill these things, but the vulnerability exists of managing the water and the slurry within the same material as the gravel until it decants enough in stockpiles. I think we're dealing with a very liquid, no pun intended, situation where it's going to have a vulnerability to move. And I think if we had a couple of lines of defense between the corner of the building and basically if you put one row of erosion controls in the corner and another one halfway between the corner and where they're proposed, I think it would make me feel a lot better. And, both of those are within our jurisdiction. Though the work is physically outside of our area, I think the vulnerability exists. And I think we can extend the concern for that work, given the grades that are shown. Now, if I can switch gears for a second, there's a proposed 6-inch drain to be replaced. Jack, this is a question for you, I think. Is that a building drain going out to a dry well in the front yard, or is it the other way around? Is it connecting somewhere else that we don't necessarily know?
No, it's moving from, and correct me if I'm wrong, team members, but it collects, it's a drain from the building out to a dry well. It's coming out. It's not going back towards but that's in the front of the building.
And that's a dry well, or does that connect? Is that hard pipe to the municipal drain system? Do we know?
I don't know. I didn't explore that, but my guess is it is connected.
Okay, so Jack, let me ask you this: if I was to ask for a pre-construction condition that determines where that drainage system goes, and if it does connect or if it does have a discharge from it, that we put erosion controls around it, because the water being pumped to these dumpsters are going to find its way directly to that.
Yep.
So I think what I would like to know is there an outlet from that structure, and if there is, to then protect it?
We can do that. I'm not. I think it's a cover. I don't think it's a catch basin, but we can put something around that. And then there's 2 catch basins out on Mass Ave. We can put the silt sacks on those to be, anyways, as part of this as well. You can see out towards the street line, there's two catch basins. So we can put silt sacks on those 2, and then we can surround that other structure with some type of control.
Yeah, Jack, my recollection is going way back, and it could be a little foggy, but I think that whole Mass Ave drainage system does find its way right past the driveway and right back into this wetland area. So as much as we can protect all of that, it's going to protect the wetland, which is why we're here tonight.
Yep. I have no problem with that.
Okay, very good. I'm all set.
In your recommendation, adding some additional erosion control at the rear of the building, we could do that. It's not gonna add that many feet of erosion control, and we can double line. Because they'll be doing the well work first, so I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and actually, we say more, if you kink in the erosion control proposed, you're pulling it all the way up to 108 from 102. You basically can take that last leg out and just stretch it across the other two corners and keep it in the flat area.
Yeah.
If it ever gets up to 108, we're all screwed.
The building's underwater at that point.
You'll be able to swim in the common.
I'm all set on that one.
Okay. Al,
Yes.
go ahead. You have any questions?
No, I'm good. I'm good, Lou. Thank you.
Okay. Lou Napoli, Chairman. My issues with is the slurry and also those containers that are being filled with water. You call them containers, so they must be going off on a roll off of some truck of some type. So they gotta get loaded. They're gonna be at a 45 as you're pulling it up onto the truck. What are you gonna do to prevent the water to come up with the tailgate? Pardon me?
They get pumped out.
They're getting pumped off.
Right.
Into
Yes.
a what? So you're just using that as a temporary containment, and then you're gonna pump it into a tanker truck?
Correct.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that was explained to us at the last meeting, because I had concern with that. And like Joe said, that the stockpile of the slurry, you could probably slide with the area that you have with 3 wells. If you have to go to the 6 wells, you're gonna have a hard time storing all that surplus fill. What do you think?
Have a hard time stockpiling all the excess material? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, well, 3 wells, you could probably get away with stockpiling that material for extended period of time, because it's gonna be wet and it's gonna take forever to dry. But 6 wells, you're gonna have a lot of fill that's gonna have to sit there, and the bigger the pile, the longer it takes to dry. So,
right.
My
Derek,
question is, what are you gonna do with it?
Derek, will you explain that we're going to drill 1 well at a time, and how long it takes to drill the well, and our expectation with these rock chips is that at the end of the first well is complete, we'll be able to truck off the excavate from the first one before we get into the second well. That's why well one is up by the hillside, well 2 is by the building, and then back and forth. So we don't envision that we're going to have 6 wells and have 6 wells worth of excavate sitting there drying. We're going to be taking away 1 well at a time.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So it takes a day. All right. So what you're saying is it takes a day to dig 1 well. So by the time you get to well number 6, well number 1 should be dry to haul.
Yes, and maybe even sooner than that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, those are my questions.
Hey, Lou?
Yep. Yes.
Lou, this is Joe again. Just to put that in perspective, each well, if driven to 300 feet, is going to be producing between 10 and 15 cubic yards of excavate. Whether it's, that's not counting the water, that's just actually the material coming up. So, that's the volume we're talking about. So if they're doing 1 at a time, that's really, a small dump truck load taken away.
Right.
If they do it 2 a day, now we're looking at a triaxle, and if we're doing 3 a day, we're looking at something bigger. So, that's the quantities we're dealing with. Each well is going to be generating between 10 and 15 cubic yards.
Right. Well, like I said, if you did all 6 to stockpile 60 yards of material in the back, or you'd have to put in the back, because you can't. The front, the containers.
There's no room for it. That was the point I tried to make a couple of weeks ago. There's just no room for it. So they're literally going to have to manage it as they go, 1 well at a time.
All right, and then
Derek,
Jack
it's going
answered.
to take at least a day to drill a well, correct?
That's correct. Approximately 400 to 500 feet a day.
Yeah. Okay.
One well a day.
I understand it better now. I didn't understand it too well at the first meeting, but I kind of get a better picture of it now. Okay, Deb.
No questions, but Joe Lynch, thank you for that clarification of the cubic feet. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Sean.
No questions, and I have no wise ass comments about Joe. I'm all set.
Okay. All right. So we need a motion. We're gonna take some time writing the order conditions for this project, so we get it all right. I'm just giving you a heads up, but we need a motion to accept the project.
Hey, not to delay this any further, I do have one of the questions that came out of that line of questioning, and that is when they pump to the dumpsters, they're going to use them as settling, and they're going to take the excess fluid and they're going to pump from that. They're pumping to a contained truck, not elsewhere on site, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Okay. I wanted to make sure. I didn't hear that, but I thought that's what they said a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we didn't have a tank a couple weeks ago. Now we do. But that's good.
Mhm.
All right. So we
Thank
need
you.
a motion.
To close?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I knew what the motion was. Okay.
This is Joe. I move that we close the order conditions, close the public hearing for this request. Do we have a DEP number? We must by now, right?
Yes, we do. 242-1782.
That's the citation I make, and I move that we close.
Second by Deb.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No, it's unanimous. But Amy, when we do, we'll look at the decision later. But there's a lot of stuff that we have to put in there, so we'll have to take our time with that decision.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
draft it up.
All right. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.
All right.
Good
All
night.
right. What's next?
Okay, we have Smolak Farms, a request to breach beaver dam. I sent you an aerial photograph of where the dam is located and a brief description and follow-up email from actually Michael Smolak, who's with us right now. Mike, are you still with us?
I am.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. So I had talked to Lou about it, and I'll hand it over to Lou.
Yeah, well, I'm not too familiar with the procedure you go to allow breaching. I know the beavers have a lot of rights. My question is, if it's Smolak Sound, it can't be the big beaver issue along Dale Street, right? Correct?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean. What this is, there's about a 6 to 8 acre quaking bog located on the southerly side of Dale Street. Used to be a cranberry bog back in the 1800s, and there was an earthen dam built by somebody back in the 1800s on one end. A few years ago, the beavers were in there. They built the dam up, and they were flooding out our roadways, our access to parts of the back of the farm. We filed to allow for them to be removed. It was accepted, and that was done. And it's been working pretty well for quite a few years. And then recently they've gotten back in there and built it back up, and the road is impassable and it's encroaching on the woods. And this is twofold. One, it encroaches on our ability to get back to a part of our farm agriculturally, And of more concern to me is the fact that this is a very, very sensitive ecosystem. It's highly, highly acidic. It sits on the saddle between two watersheds, and because of the excess water in there, the acidity is not what it should be, and the acidity is required for some of the carnivorous plants that are very, very unique to this area to survive. And I think it's if it were allowed to stay, it would compromise it. But agriculturally, I'm not all that honestly, I'm not all that familiar with the laws. But I know that there are some agricultural rights in terms of allowing something like this once it starts encroaching on agricultural process.
Okay, thanks, John. Jack, any questions?
Yes. What do you propose as the method to control the beavers? Obviously, you want to restore flow to the brook, and if you just break the dam down, they're just going to build it right back up. Are you planning any?
No, they'll be removed. As
hello,
they were before.
Can people hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm Joe O'Neill. I'm also involved. I couldn't figure out how to unmute myself.
Oh. So, Joe, you'll be doing the actual breaching and the trapping?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, breaching and trapping. Okay.
Right. But we don't, as far as I'm understanding is that we wouldn't necessarily get, we don't need to provide permission for trapping. That's a separate permit that they seek from another entity.
Yeah, so I should get the permit from the Board of Health.
Right.
But the process in North Andover, they want conservation involved if they're going to remove the dam.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
Jack, any more questions?
We've typically been involved in the past, and so it'll be trapping and removing the beavers. And was this the same method used years ago as Mike described?
Well,
yes.
I believe so.
Is that true, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I'm
All
getting.
right. I have no
I'm getting
more
a little bit
questions.
long. Okay, thank you.
Joe?
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. First of all, we're putting a little effort into this discussion on a farm that's in a trapped impoundment that's fully within the confines of the farm. Yeah, we've got other farms in town that aren't maintaining the beaver flow in our totally inundated public roadways, which that's a discussion for another forum, perhaps. So I appreciate you moving forward on this one.
We all have opinions about that.
We sure do, and so I really appreciate you taking the initiative to deal with this on your own property, and fully support the agricultural component of it. But moreover, I think the devil's in the details here. So I hear about a breaching of a dam. I think we need to know physically what's going to happen and what the potential impact downstream is, and protect that from being a problem. And then beyond that, I think is not simply trapping out the beaver, but I think truly installation of some sort of a flow diversion system, whether it's a beaver deceiver or something of the like, to prevent even if the beaver do come back, to prevent that becoming a problem, backing it up in the future. It's a very cost-effective approach. I use them in dozens of locations in my own profession, and they've taken from visits 3 or 4 times a week to culverts to a need to visit them once a year, and just to make sure that the scheduled cleaning was actually done. These things work very well. So I think I need to hear more about the impact of what you're going to do and how to protect it. And then beyond that is what are we going to do to maintain flow in the future?
Well, I'm not all that schooled in those sort of things, and I would kind of defer to Joe about those issues. But, I know farming as opposed to cats and beavers. I will give you a little bit of historical perspective. A few years ago, some people who have remained nameless decided to breach the dam themselves. And when they did this, they removed about a foot of the dam, and then it flowed downhill into Meeting House Commons, and all of a sudden it was flooded from. And then I went out there and I found out about it because somebody gave me a call. I found decon all over the place, and then I found they tried to put some sort of a pipe through it, and of course the beavers are smarter than the neighbors, and they sealed that up. So, you know, honestly, I defer to Joe about these things because he knows more about it than I do.
All right. So, regardless, we're gonna have to remove these beavers before putting in a deceiver. But that particular area, if you saw it, it's too narrow. The beavers are just gonna block the deceiver, or they're gonna build further downstream until they get the water level that they want.
You know,
Mike,
if my memory is correct too, when this was functioning properly, water was flowing. Like I said, this is a saddle. One in one direction it flows to Lake Achikowik, and the other direction it goes towards Mosquito Brook. And I believe the outlet really was more towards the lake watershed before they decided to cohabitate with us.
Michael, this is Al Manzi speaking. How are you?
Good, Al.
So I want to jump in real quick and talk about the deceiver. I have a beaver deceiver on my property that we successfully installed about 15 years ago, and it receives annual maintenance, and it absolutely works. They're really remarkable tools, and you gotta think about putting one in. I could give you the name of the people that I use. I'm not going to do it on this meeting, obviously, but
sure.
the company that I used, that I hired, that does annual maintenance, and ever since that was done, I've only had to have the deceiver rebuilt once, and that was because of storm damage, not beaver damage. I think that you can use a deceiver, and if they're going to move downstream, maybe. The beavers that were damming up Mosquito Brook on my property haven't returned. I know they've gone somewhere because we only trapped them out once, and then when the installation was done. So I think you gotta think about a deceiver system there. You could have a guy that does the flow devices take a look and give you an opinion. But
great.
I would consider it for sure, Mike.
Okay, good. I'll take a look. I certainly will consider it.
And I can send you that information, off meeting.
Okay, great, good. I appreciate that.
All right. Yeah, Joe, you all set?
Joe O'Neill?
Yeah, I have no follow-up to that. I appreciate Al's support.
Okay. Deb?
I'm sure Deb will too.
I will. Thank you, Joe. Okay. This is kind of what is going to happen to the beavers? Are you going to trap them and remove them, or are they gone?
Come on, Deb.
They're gonna make me a new coat.
Come on, Deb.
Are you asking, are they going to cross over?
So honestly, excuse me.
Deb, they're going to the land of no. They're going to the land of no deceivers, Deb.
Okay.
Can people hear me?
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to be clear on that.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, can people hear?
Joe
Okay,
O'Neill?
Sean?
Yeah, Joe O'Neill.
Sean?
Yeah, I can
Please,
hear you.
Sean.
Sean,
Sean, do you have any questions?
No, Lou. All set, Lou. No questions.
Okay. All right. So, Al, you and Joe seem to have more experience. So, what do we do? We give them a motion, or is it continued, or what do we do?
So
Well, I mean,
before us is a request for emergency certification, which I think we need to act on.
I agree. I think we got to take action on it tonight. We can always make the recommendation to Mike to have someone look at it and consult and give an opinion after. But I think we got to take the action tonight on the request.
Amy,
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, Amy.
Yes.
emergency certification is good for only 30 days for them to carry out the actual work. Beyond that, there could be conditions that require them to come back before us and file for additional information with regards to beaver deceivers and long-term maintenance, and et cetera, et cetera. But the emergency cert's only good for 30 days, correct?
Correct.
But now's the time to get it done. They're very active
Agreed,
right now.
agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that we get within that they return within X number of days with a longer term O&M plan with regards to better managing the beaver habitat.
I have no
So
doubt. No doubt we can get Mike to come back to another meeting.
I think so too. So I think my motion would be to grant the emergency certification for the carry out of the breaching of the dam, providing adequate downstream protections, 1, and 2, to allow them to trap out the beavers by any means that's permitted by state regulation. And thirdly, that they return within 60 days with a long-term beaver management and flow management proposal before the commission, moving forward.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That's unanimous. So we're all set, Mike. You know what you have to do.
Yep, I do, and I appreciate your time. And
All right,
I'm glad we're getting on this before. I'm glad we're getting on this before we have even more over there. I think it's the season for it.
It sure is.
All right, thank you.
Okay, be well, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Amy, fire away.
Okay. So the last 2 items on the agenda are enforcement orders. The 410 Summer Street, they have the green light to file the notice of intent, so I suspect we'd see that shortly. And 1806 Salem, I need to still get out there and do some measurements, but I will do that as I was thinking maybe I'd start to do some stuff next week.
Okay. So we're gonna so we'll just get
I
a
would
motion.
continue.
So we need a motion to continue. We can do them both together. We need
Yeah,
a
so
motion to
moved.
continue both
Second.
enforcement orders. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
And that's unanimous. Okay, so
Unanimous.
both
Okay,
of them,
great.
both of them will continue till next meeting.
Okay, great. So one last item of business that I need you guys for is, so I've been trying to figure out how to do electronic signatures, and it's not as straightforward with our viewpoint system as we thought. I don't think that avenue is going to work for us. However, there are other towns and cities that their conservation commissions are taking votes to allow their conservation administrators to physically sign decisions and documents on their behalf with a town clerk certified record of your vote, and then have that recorded at the registry of deeds. So I passed this idea by, Lou thinks it's a better idea, cleaner idea, and I passed it by town council, and she's fine with it. So I wanted to pass that by you guys, and I do have language for the vote if you are so inclined.
Amy, this is Joe.
Yep.
So I think, and maybe I'm hearing this differently, but the vote on the order itself may be in opposition, but it doesn't prevent you from signing. So I think there needs to be a separate polling of members to authorize the fixing of the signature to the order.
Yes.
So I think there needs to be 2 separate votes. Maybe that's what you said, but I think there has to be 2 separate votes. And if that's the case, I mean, it could be that you sign on our behalf. It could be simply that we sign and scan signatures for you to affix to our documents based on that vote. Either way is fine by me, I guess. But I think as long as we have a separate record of whether it's polling or whatever, authorization to affix a signature. That's what's probably necessary.
All right, so I agree with Joe. So in other words, it's a matter of record. We're on a stage. We're being recorded, so they have our attendance. So when we approve a decision, what we'll do is we'll approve Amy being the signer of the document, and then that should cover everything, right, Joe?
Well, for example, let's say I was opposed to a particular debate during the hearing process, and voting to close, it may not be unanimous. It may be 6 in favor, 1 opposed. It still doesn't prevent me from signing the order. So I think you need a separate vote to authorize. I may say, sure, go ahead and sign my name. I oppose the decision. It stands on the record, but I'll still sign the order. So I think you need that second vote.
Okay.
Sean, am I wrong? Or do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm following what you're saying. Concerning a second vote, what's the second vote you're referring to, even if you're dissenting?
So I think so. Let's take this in order. We have a public hearing, and the motion is to close the public hearing, and there's a vote taken, and it may not be unanimous. It may be that we didn't get a physical barrier, and Sean opposed the closing of the order and voted in opposition. However, when the documents get circulated around the table, you're still going to sign that probably. You wouldn't withhold your signature.
There's no written signature, no written document that comes out of our closing the hearing. I mean, we don't sign a document closing the hearing, so she's not
so I'm
signing
saying that's
anything in that
exactly what I'm
regard.
saying. So that's exactly what I'm saying. By virtue of the vote to close the hearing has no bearing on authorizing the signature. So I think we need a second process to authorize signing, which is simply just polling us. Yeah.
Well, there are other documents that you sign that don't require a public hearing.
Right.
So like certificates of compliance or enforcement orders or extensions. My idea was to sign on behalf of you guys with this vote that we would take.
Based on what process? Based on a discussion? Based on what?
Well, we would, the thought was to have you guys I'll read the language of the vote that you would take tonight to basically authorize me. And then as you go through rendering decisions, you would include that in your motion when you say, okay, we're going to issue this order after we reviewed a draft. We're going to vote to issue this order and authorize Amy to sign on our behalf.
Maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. It's been an awful long time since we've had an appeal filed, but the appeals are filed based on the signatures on the document. And if one of us was in opposition to signing the document, I would hate just to have it carte blanche that all 7 signatures appear on it.
Joe, this is Al. If I may offer, in the past, when I've been the rare but dissenting vote on something, when I signed the document, I put down that I voted no next to my signature. I don't know if that
cures
the problem. Absolutely, I've done it every time. On those rare occasions when I disagree, I put the no vote next to me so that I complete my obligation in signing the document, but I make it clear that I did not vote in favor of it. And I've done that many times.
Okay, so given that, how does that convey to Amy to affixing your signature or not? Because you voted in opposition, that means you're not willing to sign?
No, what I'm saying is just in other words, if a vote is not unanimous, when the signatures are affixed, there should be a way to designate the person's vote when she affixes those signatures. There should be a way to do it as if we were actually signing.
Yeah. And I think that can happen, Al. Just, thinking out a little bit more and using these examples, I was wondering if we should have like an email system where Amy emails around to everybody, do I have your authority to sign your name on this order of conditions or this file number? But it really is redundant because, as Lou said, we're all being recorded. So I think the idea of just Amy at the end of the hearing saying, do I have, the end of each matter in front of us, saying, do I have your authority to, please confirm I have your authority to sign your names on there. And if you have any, any edits you want to make to it, please let me know now. And then everybody says I, or Al says you can sign my name, but put down I dissent or I oppose it, or however you want to handle it.
I 100% agree with that, because if you're a dissenting vote and you want that recorded that way, it shouldn't be a problem to do it, and I would wholeheartedly endorse that idea.
Yeah, and as long as that becomes part of the record, that's exactly going to address my concerns.
That's perfect.
So we'll address them as a case by case basis. Once we approve a decision, we'll go, but we'll just who opposes or who dissents their signature.
Yeah.
But Amy, do you need to have something ruled on by us to allow that process to start going forward?
I think it's important to have it in place, yes, and we need to have something that we can record at the registry that documents the fact that you're going to be implementing this procedure during the state of emergency.
Yep.
And then for each individual decision, I can attach your vote basically to show who voted for or against or whatever.
Right. So I think in this, you might have to notice that this is a public hearing for us to even take this action. I'm not sure. But I think you need a motion and an order from us to go ahead and adapt this certain procedure during a certain period of time.
Right.
And then as each individual matter comes up, we'll have to confirm or ratify that that's, we're allowing you to have those signatures on those specific matters.
Okay. So I have language that I can read if you want to listen to it, and if you're comfortable with it, you guys can adopt it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
You ready?
I'll listen carefully.
All right. Move that the North Andover Conservation Commission authorize the Conservation Administrator, Amy Maxner, to physically sign on behalf of the Commission, when so directed by vote of a Commission, documents issued by the Commission under the Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, or the North Andover Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 190 of the North Andover Bylaws, including but not limited to orders of conditions, certificates of compliance, extensions, order of resource area delineations, etc. This authorization is valid until such time that the current restrictions due to COVID-19 are lifted.
Amy, that sounded good up until the very end. I'd like to put a just drop dead date on it and then extend it as necessary, personally.
Okay.
Hey, Sean, Easter sounds like a good timeline. It's a great timeline. It's a wonderful timeline. I think it's Easter. To quote President Trump. What kind of deadline do you want to give it?
2021.
So what do you want you? So we use June 1st?
Sure.
June 1st?
So Amy, what you just read.
Yeah.
Amy, what you just read, I think it was the second sentence, or maybe part of the extension of the first sentence, was by specific vote of the commission. So I think it's actually speaking to that need to have a second vote.
Yep.
Read that again.
All right. So to sign on behalf of the commission, when so directed by vote of the commission, documents issued by.
There it is, right there. That's what I was alluding to in my first take on it.
All right.
It requires a second vote.
Yeah.
So,
but that, it's okay. I just feel like we need to have this initial vote so that I can have it in our pocket.
I agree. Mm-hmm. So, could you send that text off to all of us?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because we're gonna do whatever's simplest for damn sure, but we want to make sure what we do is right.
Yep, I don't want any ambiguities in it. If we have to say, does this mean a second order or a second meeting, then we need to clarify that language
Okay.
a little bit, since we're the authors.
That's fine. Okay. All right,
But I think
I'll send it up.
Yep, I think it's a great idea, and I think that was a really good first draft. Where did you get it from?
Littleton.
Littleton?
Yep.
Do you know where they got it from, or, do you know where it all came from?
I probably from an attorney or something like that.
I'm shocked.
Thanks for narrowing it down.
Hey, Amy, I'm kind of curious. Is MACC giving us, as a body, any guidance on how we're conducting our business, or they're leaving it town by town?
Because that's what I kind of expected, Amy, to tell you the truth, is this was something that came from them, not from the town of Littleton.
Well, I mean, I think it's MACC sort of kind of, hey, what is everybody doing, and kind of compiling procedures that people are doing. And honestly, I'm not going to jump the gun and take whatever MACC says without passing it by town council first anyway. But I thought that this particular method was the cleanest and easiest, most straightforward thing, that I've seen yet. Let's put it that way.
So did town council approve this specific language, Amy?
Yes, I gave her this language, yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I mean, I can send it to you guys, and if you want to put it on the agenda for next meeting, that's totally fine.
Is this something that people think needs to be given notice, public notice?
Yeah, we just, I'm not sure it needs public notice. I'm not sure what authority the town manager can enact it on our behalf. I mean, there's a whole bunch of new rules with the emergency declaration in place. We may be able to simply do this unilaterally.
Right. All right.
If you would like, I'll send you the language, and if you want me to get something more definitive from town council by email, I can do that.
Amy, do you know what the other town departments are doing concerning this issue?
I really don't, and honestly, planning board hasn't had a meeting until their first meeting was last week, and I don't think they had any decisions to sign. So I don't think they've crossed this bridge yet.
Sean, you asked a great question. We should all be doing the same thing, don't you think?
Right. It should be all consistent and uniform. I mean, as much as possible. I mean, each board is its own board, but I think there should be communication between town managers and different administrators as far as how this is being handled. I mean, either way, it's got to be handled in the way you're doing it. It may come down to almost the exact wording you propose, but I just think there should be more communication going on than what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, ZBA is not meeting at all, so that's the point's moot there.
Well, is the town manager or assistant manager looped in on the language that we're, what we're proposing on doing here?
Well, I looped in town council, so she was my first stop. But, if you got, I can get a consensus from town council and town manager on this.
Well, I don't know if so much of a consensus, but just like to disclose or give information to say, hey, listen, this is our board. This is what we plan on doing. Please let us know if you have any comments, at least so nobody comes back and says, oh, it seems like communication would be good on something like this.
Yep.
Well,
I can do that.
The town manager is an attorney anyway, so that'll help. Get some direction from her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect any pushback at all. It just seems like everybody's affected by the same thing. And if we're the ones that it really is affected the most because of how often we meet, then, I guess we're trailblazing the way on it.
That's how I feel.
Yep.
with this COVID virus, it's kind of, everybody's kind of like shoot out of OK Corral.
Yeah, well, if we're trailblazing the way, let's make sure we.
They're making rules to go along.
Yeah, well, if we are trailblazing the way on this, let's do a good job of it.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
I agree.
Rest assured, by the time we figured it out, it'll be over.
I know,
that
kidding.
That was a real good letter. I don't think there's going to be much tweaking to that.
Nope.
So maybe you know what we're looking for, and I don't think you're going to get any pushback from the commission.
Okay, all right, I'll just button it up on the other end.
Deb, but I don't know. you know how she can be.
I know. Okay, another question. Joe Lynch.
All right. So with
that's-
that all being said, we need a motion to adjourn. Is that correct?
Yeah.
No, because I wanted to
Oh,
ask
what?
Joe Lynch something. Joe
Okay,
Lynch,
Deb.
how are you handling this in your town?
So I'm actually in a unique position where I, for my entire career, firmly believe that we're first responders and essential employees. And my guys appreciate that when it comes to negotiations. But when it comes to carrying it out day to day, they see no reason why 9 of them call out sick on a single day. So that's how I'm wrestling with it.
Oh my God.
So yeah. We still have things to do. I've got 3 huge projects ongoing. I'm in every day getting them done. We're all masked. We're all maintaining social distance. We're making sure health and safety plans are in place, and we're doing what we need to.
Yeah.
Wow.
Life goes on. I mean, this, Al can probably appreciate it more than most others, but maybe everybody does. You shine the brightest under these circumstances, but you also, your true light and true colors actually show in that light. So I think we should all step back when this is over and see what we learned, and find out that you can really get as much done with half the time and half the salary.
Whoa. Oh, wow.
Hey, I don't want to lose my job. I make big money over here.
Joe, remember one thing, Joe. We're all
I have folks who simply aren't coming in. We get every bit as much work done, and they're not here. So what do we really need, right?
Wow. Oh my God.
All right. So we need a motion to adjourn, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a motion to adjourn.
Second. We have a motion. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, all. Take care.
Thank you
Good night,
very
everybody.
much, guys. Take care.
See you guys.
Good job. See ya.
Night.
Bye.
Okay, thanks. Night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh my